Welcome to my channel's first video. My name is Lari and I have been making financial content in Finnish for almost 2 years now, and my Finnish channel is now one of the biggest financial content channels in Finland. And since I had a video coming in English in my Finnish channel already, I thought that I could start an English channel for my English followers and to new possible international followers. From now on, I am going to try to do at least 2 videos a month to this English channel, so if investing, finance and crypto is something that you are interested in, you should definitely subscribe for more content to come. But in this first video, you're going to hear a chat between me and Nexos Business Development Executive George Manolov. I myself have been using Nexo for almost 2 years now, so this chat was definitely exciting for me, and all the questions you're gonna hear were chosen by myself or my Finnish followers. And Nexo might be a familiar platform for some of you, but I'll briefly tell you what's it all about. So Nexo started as a place where you can get loans using your own crypto as collateral, and Nexo quickly found out that this was something that people really wanted to do, and they started to add more features. And now you can do pretty much everything you want on Nexo. You can buy and sell different tokens, you can earn yields on them, you can take loans and use a crypto backed credit card. And since buying and selling is free, I have been using this platform very happily. But this year, crypto loan platforms have been on the news since 2 of the biggest platforms, Voyager and Celsius, have gone bankrupt. Nexo has not been one of those firms with problems, as they have kept themselves away from, for example, Three Arrows Capital and Terra Luna, and these are the big projects that collapsed this spring, and they are the biggest reasons why Voyager and Celsius have gone bankrupt. But even though Nexo has not been in problems, this has added my own skepticism about the platform, and this year I've started using crypto wallets on top of using Nexo, so I'm not keeping all of my crypto on this platform, but I'm keeping them on many platforms nowadays. But I'm still using Nexo for a part of my portfolio, and it was really nice to have a chat with George to talk about Nexo's future, and they're thinking about the upcoming regulations. And after the recording of this talk, Nexo has also bought a piece of Summit National Bank, and as George is telling in this interview, Nexo's long-term goal is to become a bank themselves. But I think that was enough talk from me. We should start the conversation between me and George already. And if you want to check out Nexo and learn more about it, I have my affiliate link in the description. New users can get up to $100 in free Bitcoin when registering and topping up their account. Welcome to Mihin sitä säästäisi channel, George Manolov from Nexo. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Larry.
Thanks. This is a first of a kind in many ways. It's going to be the first video on my channel in English, and it's going to be the first video that I'm going to be talking with an employee from a big crypto firm. So it's going to be really exciting for me, and I bet it's going to be exciting for my followers too. So first of all, I know a little bit about you, but my followers don't know anything about you. So first of all, can you tell me a little bit about you? What are you doing at Nexo, and how did you start there in the first place?
Sure. So my name is George, like you introduced me already, and I came across a cryptocurrency space in early 2017 when I attended a presentation by a friend who was extremely passionately telling about Ethereum and kind of the possibilities that it creates for just like general online distributed applications, right? And he kind of was the guy who got me into crypto. You know, I bought my first, made my first little investment into it, and then kind of this dragged me into the whole crypto space, right? Into the Bitcoin rabbit hole eventually. And you know, not much time after that, I really realized that cryptocurrencies, digital assets, virtual property is going to absolutely transform over the coming years. You know, could be a decade, could be a little more, but it's absolutely going to transform finance. It's going to transform ownership. And so I just realized I was so lucky to find out about this new technology so early on. I started to looking around for kind of like ways in which I could get involved. First, I was just learning kind of on the side. Doing more of like traditional fintech was kind of like my previous experience. But then I came across Nexo as a product sometime mid 2018, shortly after actually the platform was launched, and I immediately saw the need for the platform, like, and the problem it was solving. So I, reached out directly to the founders, basically pitched them how I could support the vision, how I could support them, with my skills. And here I am, 4 years later, still hustling.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. It's like I have been talking with many people from the crypto, people that are interested in crypto, and I think it's almost always that way, that people have been introduced to it, and it's all Bitcoin and Ether, and then it's just goes on and goes on, and people are very much more interested in the space. I know Nexo myself, and I have been using Nexo for maybe almost 2 years now, but I don't think that everyone in my audience know what Nexo is and how it works. So if you want to talk about more about the Nexo platform, and maybe a little bit about that, how it has been changing in the last 2 years.
Sure. Well, not just, let's put even a slightly bigger picture. So when I joined the company, in its very early days, 2018, it was we just had one product. So we were born, our founders, our co-founders essentially came up with the vision because they had a problem, right? They were early crypto adopters, and they had the problem of, okay, they've now realized some gains with crypto assets, so they're willing to kind of benefit, cash out to some extent, but at the same time, they were still seeing tremendous opportunity in the potential of growth in value of these assets. And so they were like, how can I unlock liquidity without really losing all the upside that we see coming? And so this was how our first product was born, and that was what today call our borrow product, or simply put, crypto-backed credit lines, right? Which essentially allow you to use your digital assets as collateral, similarly to how in the real world you would use, let's say, real estate or stocks or any other assets as collateral. And you can then borrow, in the real world from a bank cash. Well, with Nexo, you can borrow stable coins or USD or Euro that is backed by your Bitcoin, Ether, and now it's like 40 other digital assets, right? And so that's why a lot of people know us as a crypto lender, because initially it was just a crypto lending platform. Having said that, over the year, we expanded a lot, right? So the interest in the crypto lending solution was so high that eventually there was like a very natural kind of evolution where we needed to find more capital so we can grow and finance the ever-growing demand for the credit. And so that's how our yield offering was born, out of necessity, really. Then once you have credit and yield product, then the exchange product came very naturally, allowing users to exchange one asset into another. Then we have come forward with introducing the world's first crypto credit card, right? Which is essentially allowing, it's really bringing that same credit product, but it's just like when you have it in a card, it's just it's just like with you everywhere you go, right? So we've come to have this 360-degree type of platform, which where you can do pretty much anything. This can be the place where you buy your first crypto assets, you earn yield on them, you exchange them, you borrow against them if you need to, you spend with your card, and that's on the retail side. And that's what I'm going to focus here. But obviously, in parallel, we've also built like a very substantial institutional business and products there as well. And just recently, very, very actually freshly to share, like literally last week, we announced our advanced trading platform, right? So at this point, I would say like you can really do pretty much everything, or like the vast majority of things you want to do in the digital asset world, you can do that within Nexo.
Yeah, that was actually what I was thinking when I was asking that question, because when I started, there were already like loaning and I could get yield for my assets, but Nexo Card is a really new thing, and Nexo Pro, and now you can use leverage if you want to do that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things that you can do on the Nexo platform. And now that we know about more about Nexo as a product, and I know that there are at least 200, 300 people from my audience that are using Nexo actively, but I know that they are thinking about the company side of Nexo, and there are not that much information about Nexo. There on the website we can find out about the licenses in different countries, and that is a good thing. But I'd like to know who is running Nexo, and how many people are working at Nexo, and where are the headquarters of Nexo. And I know that we are living in a digital world, so there may be not like headquarters that way, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. And honestly, that's all, again, pretty much public information. It's available on LinkedIn, right? Where we're all very active there. So, like I said, the company was founded by the three co-founders, Anthony Costa Kunchev, and Kalin Metodiev. And they've built kind of the whole team. So, when we started, we were just like 10 people or so. Today, we've grown the team to like 600 really professionals of all various types. We do everything internally, the company, from marketing, business development, sales, the software development, trading. Absolutely 100% is built inside. And having said that, yeah, like you are alluding, and just like many other companies, so we don't specifically have a particular HQ, right? So to say, just like Coinbase as well, to be honest, like they mentioned when they were going public. We are a UK-based company. Having said that, we are a fully remote kind of in terms of like how we operate. And really, I guess like the only more established operation that we have is out of Bulgaria, where the co-founders are. A lot of the company team members are as well.
Okay, yeah.
Having said that,
yeah.
Just to note, actually, since I mentioned growing, we're actually continuing to grow the team even now. So unlike others who are downsizing, we're hiring. We have open positions online. So if some of your audience has particular interests, skills, or willingness to enter in the field, they're very welcome to also explore our job opportunities on LinkedIn.
Yeah. That's a good. I bet there are people interested in that kind of stuff. And one thing I was thinking about this was, since Nexo is in many countries and worldwide, is Nexo under some countries regulation? As in Finland, the crypto brokerages that are working here are regulated by the Finnish authorities.
Yeah, well, so it's a great question. So Nexo, since its very foundation, has kind of chosen the regulatory path. Let's put it that way. Since the establishment of the company, we knew that this space is going to get regulated, is going to get institutionalized, right? This was just a matter of time. And so since day one, we took some very strategic actions as to how can we get in line with these frameworks? How can we even shape some of these frameworks so they actually, don't just create boundaries, but actually create opportunities and make the space overall safe for users. So at this point today, Nexo is a European licensed and regulated institution. We are audited by one of the leading QS accountancy firms, Armanino. Like you mentioned already, we hold more than 50 licenses that are all public across the space, across the globe. Which are enabling us to operate at this point in more than 200 jurisdictions. But all of these operations, honestly, happen in kind of various capacities. In some places, there's no particular regulation. In other places, there are regulatory exceptions that apply. So in particularly, the question in Europe, how it stands is, unfortunately today, the regulatory framework in Europe is pretty fragmented, right? So there's no one single regulation. We expect that to happen relatively soon. But for now, most companies are forced to go one-on-one, country by country, go through kind of long regulatory process, which is unfortunate. which is why we're really looking forward to the MiCA regulation, so-called Market in Crypto Assets European-wide regulation that we expect to get live, well, if not by the end of next year, maybe sometimes in 2024. And at that point, there will be this single market. Until then, fortunately for us, our legal counsel has found the applicable regulatory exceptions that do allow us to continue to offer our services across the European Union in full regulatory compliance.
Okay, well, that is really good to hear about the MiCA regulation, that you are waiting for it, because as the crypto space is, well, not that very much regulated, it's good to hear that the big players in the game, the big brokerages, etc., are waiting for regulatory, things that will...
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's really like when you have rules, it's kind of also easier to do business because you know what you can do and what you cannot do. Otherwise, you always kind of have to kind of presume maybe what the regulators are doing, and that's sometimes what we do. We kind of presume or take examples of what has already worked or how regulations work in, let's say, TradFi, and then try to apply this to the blockchain and crypto space. And in many cases, this is a good approach, but still, it's way better when you have actual rules that are defined out there.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I wanna go on more about the platform, and I'm thinking about this as a user, because as I mentioned, I have been using Nexo platform for almost 2 years now, and especially this year when there has been many problems with different crypto lenders and stuff, people are thinking about how are the customer funds handled. And well, first of all, I would like to know about customer funds held in like cold wallets. Is there a portion in cold wallets? And if there are, how much of the funds are held in cold wallets?
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. So a significant amount of the funds are held in cold wallets, particularly with our custodians that we have partnered. That's also public information. So we work with BitGo backed, with Ledger, and also a couple of others as well. So a significant amount of the assets is held there, right? But having said that, just based on the large amount of kind of operations that we're doing, what I already described, and the essence of us already engaging in a lot of trading activity for our end users, both retail and institutional. There's a major amount of assets that is also sitting with exchanges just in order to facilitate this whole business activity, right? And it's hard for me to pinpoint like particular kind of percentages, because that also varies a lot based on markets, based on demand and of our retail and institutional users, but it's kind of like a combination of those, that's really how it is, and there's no really other way it could be. The moment you are offering exchange services, it's just like you have to spread funds around.
Yeah, that is true, but it's good to hear about the cold wallets and the partners you have. It's you can find it on your website and all the different kinds of stats about that. Well, I know that the second thing that people are thinking about this year, as there have been bankruptcies, why do you think that Nexo is better than the competitors that, well, are doing stuff right now?
Yeah, well, look, there's some very good reasons why Nexo did not experience any of the difficulties or did not go south, just like so many lenders that we've seen out there. It's all really based on kind of like how we built our business and how others built their business. When we started our business in the early stages of essentially the previous bear market, we built it in mind with such a mindset so the business can be both profitable and sustainable, both obviously during bull market, but that is kind of the way easiest part, right? What's more important is for you to be able to maintain that business sustainably during the bear market as well. And this is what we have proven now for a second consecutive bear market and multiple significant market drops that we're absolutely able to do. And this is due to multiple reasons. I can touch upon them, but just on a high level perspective, we're very different from others in terms that we always over collateralize assets when we lend out, whether it's on a retail or institutional basis, whereas others lend out on an under collateralized, on uncollateralized basis. And now this is a public information that this was one of the major reasons why they went under. We have prioritized, continuously growing insurance on custodial assets, so that if something, happens, there's this yet additional security for clients' assets. Like I mentioned already, kind of the regulatory aspect is very crucial for us. So we have all these licenses and registrations that are kind of already setting, rules according to which we operate. And we specifically, since the very early days, have announced that we eventually aim to become a bank ourselves, which operates according to banking standards, right? And I would like to restate that this is our kind of like continuous goal. And we're taking some small steps towards getting there. And to get there, you have to kind of like, you have to operate like a bank even before you're an actual bank, right? Otherwise you would never become one, right? You need to prove to the regulators that you are maintaining those practices. And this is why really we never reached that state. And I don't believe we would ever get there.
You mentioned about the insurance that you have with the outside firms. What would that mean specifically if there would be a bankruptcy? What would, it's now maybe 750 million or something, I forgot the exact amount, but what would that money do if there would be a bankruptcy or a big thing that would?
Well, so these funds are secured and insured by those leading insurers that are providing the insurance of our custodial partners, right? So this is, again, Ledger, Bakkt, BitGo, and a few others as well. And so in case of any issues whatsoever, the insurers would cover those assets there. That's pretty much how it works.
Okay. Yeah, just to be clear with the audience. Then I want to talk about the markets right now. We talked about a little bit about Nexo,
right.
How is it doing right now? But I would like to know, how is Nexo making money? How can you be in a well place in this kind of bad market? There are a few types of money-making methods, I know, and I know you can't maybe talk all about them, but a little bit about the best ways that Nexo is making money and how can it handle this market that we are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is very crucial, and this is also another key element that sets us apart from many of the other lenders that went under, and this is the fact that many of the other lenders, basically the way they were operating is either they lend out funds on uncollateralized or under collateralized basis, so taking excessive risks, right? Or they were deploying some of those funds somewhere else where they could generate yield, right? So they were always kind of like moving away from the responsibility or taking too large risks, deploying funds with DeFi protocols that were, let's say, with questionable yield generating strategies and tokenomics, etc., and just like questionable reliability overall, right? And with us, it's always been about how can we build a sustainable business model where we can generate yield through our business operations, through our services and products that we provide, right? It's not just like moving the assets away. And so over the years, this has evolved a lot. So like I said, the first and foremost way in which we, again, by necessity needed to really launch our yield product was because our credit product was becoming so successful. We needed more funds in order to be able to grow our loan book, right? This was one. So one and still a very major way in which yield is generated is through the credit lines that we offer to both retail and institutional clients. Then, over the years, seeing the demand, seeing how others kind of were building essentially these risky practices, we saw the demand for the earn on crypto, right? And so we wanted to build a sustainable approach in which we were able to offer this yield continuously, right? And again, both in bear and bull markets. And to do so, you cannot really rely on just one type of approach or one strategy. You need to develop multiple ways, right? And so this is what we have done. So over the years, we obviously have advanced and built not just the retail side of the lending business, but the institutional one, where we have literally connections, and we have done deals only according to our terms, as long as they qualify to our risk criteria for over collateralization, with pretty much any institutional lender of any meaningful size out there, right? So that's one very major thing. In the meantime, we have also built up our own internal team that has built up market making capabilities. So part of the assets can be deployed by just engaging in market making of various digital assets across exchanges. We have also created such like this basically this team works very closely with another trading team that is deploying very low risk, low latency market neutral trading strategies, which is also a way in which yield is generated. And of course, we have also been actively reviewing the DeFi space, right? Where although we haven't engaged in things like Luna's UST, etc., there has been some other opportunities there which have been proven over time, the battle tested protocols. So some funds have been deployed as well. So other funds, obviously, have been deployed with just protocol yield generating assets, just like now Ethereum has moved to proof of stake, right? Completely. This has been the case for many other assets, now Ethereum as well. So this is obviously also I would say extremely low, close to, it's basically zero risk way in which you generate yield. So it's a combination of things. You cannot just do one. In order for you to be long-term and sustainable, you need to develop all of this know-how and capabilities internally. And others, most of the time, they would rely on one or two of these, or they would just take riskier approaches, which work out great and generate greater yield in good times, but you never know when the good times end.
Yeah, that reminds me of my work as a social media influencer. I can't be taking one paycheck from one firm. I need many paychecks from many firms. If the one stops the collaboration with me, I can't make money from that. So I have to make money from very many places. So that's good to hear that there are many different kinds. And now I was thinking about, as you were talking about these kinds of things that are happening and where the money is right now creating yield. This is all kept private since you are a private company. Is there a day in the future that we could possibly see these investments and they would be made public?
Well, which type of investments? What do you mean by investments?
Well, I'm just talking about how are the all of the funds, how are they kept? Where are they kept?
I see.
Yeah.
Well, look, we at Nexo, we dare say we have really been pioneers in terms of providing transparency, and we've made some very significant steps in showing some of the internal stuff that's happening. So one achievement of which we're very proud is that we've been the first crypto lender that was able to launch real-time attestations together with Armanino, which I already mentioned, right? This is again one of these fundamentals that many others, they wouldn't have just been able to provide, before the recent unfortunate events, right? And so this is and on the ups, what's funny, on the outside, it may look like this is something that is generally sort of easy, right, to do. But in practically speaking, which essentially, what these daily attestations show is kind of the health of the balance sheet, right? They show that we have more assets than liabilities. But practically speaking, it has taken us, it's probably, I don't want to mislead but certainly significant more than a year time, if not 2 years of significant time of our finance team to kind of like get all of this data to the auditor to kind of like then just go through the whole process. It's not a straightforward thing. So it really required investment of our time and resources, right, to get this done. We did this not necessarily because we had to do it, right? There's no such rules. We think there should be such rules. And so we wanted to set a good example in this case. Obviously, we're looking to continue this first good example and hopefully, find new ways to provide more transparency. It's just that, again, practically speaking, sometimes this is really not something that's straightforward and easy. Now, having said that, like I mentioned, we're aiming to be a bank. We're aiming to continue our regulatory kind of and licensing acquisition globally. So in a lot of these areas, I'm sure that over time we would just kind of naturally evolve so that we would invest those resources this time, because again, like this really requires a lot of time to provide this as much as possible over the years. And so I sincerely believe this was just this was the first example, but certainly not the last.
Okay, yeah, that's good to hear. I know it's not that easy to just tell, yeah, this is everything that we do and everything where our money is, because it's part of the
that as well.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good to hear more thoughts about that. And this is a new thing for me to hear, that Nexo is trying to become a real bank. And I think it's really good to hear as a customer that there is this kind of thinking that we want to be this one day, because as you said, there are regulations and everything is like more stricter when you're a real bank and not a crypto platform. And that's good. And lastly, I want to ask for your Finnish customers, as this is going to be for the Finnish audience mainly. I bet there are right now some folks that speak only English, but is there something extra for the Finnish customers? Is there is there going to be a Finnish language on the app, or support or on our language or something like that?
Yeah, well, I wish I could say yes. The real answer is more like for us at this point, still the space is early, so we more like look at the cryptos. Like obviously there's the geographies, right? And we look at those, right? That's why we're doing this for you now, so we can reach a particular audience. But practically speaking as well, there's really so much work for us to do. And at this point, it's more like we look at the whole European Union region as just like one region, right? And many people speak English here, so that's why the platform is available in English. And that's how it is going to be for the coming, let's say, year or so. I certainly believe that what I mentioned, once the MiCA regulation comes into place, this will set kind of the rules for the whole European Union, and this would also allow us, and it would make it easier for us to kind of go more narrower and niche country by country, and do all the various languages, and start looking at local currency payment methods for example, depositing, withdrawing funds. So that's coming, but some things really just take some time.
Yeah, this was for the Finnish customers, but I know that we can speak English and we understand, and that's also why I have done a review about Nexo and how you can use Nexo in Finnish, so the Finnish customers who don't know English can watch my video on that, so they can use Nexo with no problems at all. But I think this is going to be where we are going to end it today. I'm so happy to talk to you. This was so eye-opening. It's really, really interesting to hear these kinds of things from an employee from these kinds of big firms. So thank you for the chat today.
Thank you so much, Larry, as well.
Yes. Bye.